Hi, I'm Chris Thayer, co-owner of Inland Blue Comics. We currently have 6 different titles in publication and even started publishing books from other creators. And we've learned a lot about the comic business over the last, I don't know how long, almost entirely by trial and error. If we knew then what we know now, I don't know if we would have done this. It's been a hell of a lot of work and time and money. There have been times we wanted to strangle each other, but it's also been one of the most rewarding times of my life. Obviously, it all starts with a book. For us, it was Grace. In the first year, we were able to publish our first issue of Grace. It took a year. We packed our boxes of books and a couple of t-shirts, and we went to our first convention, which was WonderCon in Anaheim, California, which is still one of our favorite shows. We set up the booth, we laid out our comic on the table, and then we waited for people to rush over and buy their copies. Of course, no one wanted our comic. At least no one knew that they wanted it yet. The first day we sold 9 copies. 9. I think out of sheer frustration, we changed our game plan. Both of us being theater people, Ron and I started actively engaging people as they walked by. I mean, we were going to convince people that they needed Grace. Second day, we sold 42 copies. The third day, 45. All told, that first show, we moved almost 100 copies of our first comic. We did 2 more conventions that first year, and in all, we sold 250 copies of Grace. We were hooked. We published 2 issues the next year, and we're currently on pace to publish a trade paperback per year of each title. For the next couple of years, we did almost every local convention there was. Long Beach, LA, Palm Springs, Ontario. We even branched out and did some drivable shows in Las Vegas. But it wasn't until some friends of ours offered us their booth in Seattle that things really went into overdrive. We figured we were still a couple years from doing legit travel shows. It turns out that this trip to Seattle was exactly the push we needed to bump us up to the next level. We booked our flights, hotel rooms, a rental car. We took the plunge. Somehow it paid off. I mean, we went to our first major convention and we killed it. It could have been a financial disaster, but it wasn't. It proved to us that we could do these road shows and actually make some money in the process. Now, we go to most major conventions: New York, Chicago, New Orleans, Phoenix, Salt Lake, Kansas City, Dallas, Albuquerque, all over the country. Some of the big shows, like New York, are always great. Some of them are terrible. Some smaller shows are huge moneymakers. Sometimes how good they are changes from year to year. There's really no rhyme or reason to it. All you can do is show up, work your ass off, because as an independent publisher, it's never easy.
You need to be able to take a hit and keep on going. I think that's almost every industry, but especially this industry. You need to be able to just you need to get up every time you're knocked down. And that's the only way you'll succeed.
One of the hardest parts is the travel. I mean, it's one thing to cram your car to the roof with all the books and display stuff and then just drive to a convention. It's a completely different animal to fly across the country and do it. I mean, you have to be able to not only bring hundreds of books for you to sell, plus your display, plus the promotional stuff that you need, not to mention art prints, original artwork. I mean, it's really expensive to ship all that stuff. So what we do is we just jam as much as we can carry into suitcases, and then, just enough clothes to make it through the trip. And maybe we end up buying a shirt somewhere at the convention. And the clothes become the padding to keep the books from getting damaged. You stuff it in around the books because TSA and baggage handlers, they start tossing your luggage around, and then you've ruined all your product. So, just got off the plane in LaGuardia, or at LaGuardia, I guess is the name of the airport. We've got a couple of our bags here. You can see those. Waiting to go to baggage claim and pick up the rest of our bags. It's about 11 p.m. We left our area at 11 a.m. So it's been a long day traveling. So yeah, at least we're here. We made it. Here are our 9 suitcases full of books. All of them 50 pounds or more.
I'm walking in.
I'm walking it. So this is how you got to do it until you sell enough books to be able to ship them. More often than not, we end up having to take the red eye or that 5 a.m. flight so that we can get to the convention in time to set up before it opens. It's about 7:52 in our luxurious hotel. We're going on about 4.5 hours of sleep. Yep, living large.
What'd you forget, Dean?
There's no 5-star hotels for us. I mean, hell, some of the places we stay, we're lucky if somebody wasn't stabbed in there at some point. That's all part of making the trip profitable. I mean, if you spend tons of money on nice hotels, you end up losing money on the trip. Sometimes we get lucky, but more often than not, we're lugging 50-pound suitcases up 3 flights of stairs to a room where we hope there won't be crackheads staying above us that keep us up all night.
Yep, we are in Portland.
It is a beautiful day out here today.
Yeah.
There's definitely going to be lots of people at the show today.
We know one thing for sure. God hates Fan Expo Portland 2024.
Just a little.
One of the big drawbacks to traveling so much is it cuts into the amount of time that we actually have to work on new books. A lot of the time I'm on a plane, I'm drawing. I bring the tablet with me to just about every show that we fly to. We just can't afford to waste those hours that we spend in transit. We fly, we take Ubers, subway trains, shuttles, city buses, and walk a lot. Often lugging 3 suitcases each, filled with 150 pounds of books, in freezing temperatures and in 100+ degree heat. But in spite of all that, it's allowed me to see a lot of new places that, if I'm being honest, I probably would never have gone. Though most days there isn't much time or energy left to go sightseeing. All right, so we're here a day early, kind of setting up. Let me flip around and give you a look at what's going on. So this is what the convention looks like before everybody's here. It's just a big warehouse is what it looks like. So yeah, we just loaded in all of our bags. Ron's actually carrying 2 more up the 2 sets of escalators, and everything is in the back of our booth. So this is kind of a rarity. We usually get in the day of the show, and we were able to get in a day early and set up, because usually we get in so late that we have to take everything in the day of the show and set it up, and it's kind of a nightmare. It's a bit of a disaster. So this will be nice to roll in a little late tomorrow morning. The booth load in and setup is constantly changing. We have to adjust to different size tables, adding new product, phasing out old product, different locations, and even different neighbors who sometimes build these monstrous displays that block your view. Okay, so we are finally set up. We're leaving. Hopefully everything will be here when we get back tomorrow. And notice the tables are too big for the space. That's why that table is poking through. It's the kind of stuff you have to deal with when you show up to these shows, because something's going to be wrong. And this time it's the tables are too big for the spots. One thing you can be sure of is that you can always expect the unexpected. You might have a really loud wrestling ring next to you, making it impossible to talk to folks. Or the AEW booth sets up right across from you and it completely blocks the traffic from getting to your booth. Or the next year, several big vendors just don't show up, leaving a huge empty space that drives people away. Or worse, you spend a couple $1,000s on a giant booth, but don't realize that it doesn't come with any tables. So you improvise and you use the empty suitcases to form a very unstable display space. Then the con opens, and the sea of humanity comes rushing down the aisles. The first hour or so tends to be a little slow because everyone is racing to get their con exclusives that usually get flipped on eBay. The bigger shows can be really tough to navigate. Just getting to the bathroom can be a 30-minute trip. So you kind of have to plan ahead. So we're on day 2 of the convention. Things were pretty slow yesterday, not a ton of sales, but there's about twice as many people here today, so that looks good for us. And I'll give you a peek at what it's like to do what we do. How you doing today? You guys comic readers at all? Not so well. You came to the right place. Yep. It's about that exciting. How you guys doing?
Probably talk to, let's just say, give or take, and I never keep track of it, so I don't know, because I'm just one guy out there. But let's say talk to between 15 and 20 people an hour, and I maybe sell maybe 5 people or 10 people in that hour. If it's a bad show or if it's a bad hour, then that's just, how it is. And I'll tell you this, here's what you guys didn't see. You saw me making sales, but you didn't see all the rejections I had to get in order to make those sales. And sometimes it just takes that time. But the best part about it, guys, is that if I can do it, you can absolutely do it. And there were a ton of creators, including Mr. Thayer, who sold out at that show of their own books. And that is called grit. That is putting yourself out there and constantly pushing and not giving up. And that's really what this is all about. If you are passionate about what you're doing, people will see that and they will want to support that, because that's what they're at Comic-Con to do.
Fans of Dave Mustaine love our comic book. You guys look like you're searching for your new favorite comic right there. I'm curious at the bare minimum. I feel it. Comic book readers, unite.
The hardest part of making sales at a convention is just getting people to stop. If you can do that, you have about a 5 to 10% chance of making a sale, depending on the show.
It's not an overnight thing. It rarely is. It takes years and years of being, a starving artist to really make it. And even when you think you've made it, there's lots of frustrations. So, it's a grind. And if you're not 100% committed to that grind, then, then it's going to be hard for you.
This is guerrilla business. So there's no rules, so to speak. There are rules, there's codes of conduct, but there's no rules into how you make your money. You do what you got to do. As long as it's legal and everything, but it's not necessarily by the book.
The whole day is spent talking and talking and talking. It is exhausting. And then you get up in the morning and you do it all over again. 3, 4, sometimes 5 days in a row. Day 3, heading through the con. Crowd is much smaller today. Sorry. Let me flip around here and we get a look. Rows are pretty much empty. Only hope is that as the day goes on, people will come back this way.
Just waiting for you.
It's a job. It's like, this is how it's like, either get to conventions and sling your comics, or get behind a desk and work at a cubicle for the rest of your life. I mean, it's really one or the other. And for me, I've just never been I worked a 9-to-5 job for 10 years until I decided I'm not a 9-to-5 guy. And you make that decision. Either you're doing it or you're not doing it. And if you're not doing it, then go do something else.
When it's over, the last thing we want to do is talk. So we might go stop for a slice on the way back to the room, or if it was a really good day, go somewhere nice. Maybe hear some live music or watch people sing really bad karaoke. Maybe a little sightseeing. Anything but more talking.
It's a name. It's for you, Dean. Kanye, right? Kanye.
So, hanging out, Times Square. No idea where I'm going, just kind of hanging around. They ain't got nothing to do. Let's see if I can find me something to eat. And figure out how the hell to get back to the hotel room. If it goes well, there isn't much to take home. Just the 6 empty suitcases and your displays. You check your bags or you pile it all in the car and head home. Selling out of everything that you brought is a pretty amazing feeling. But it's not just the money that you make, but the really amazing people that you meet. Whether they're fans, other creators, famous musicians, actors, or even legends of the comic industry. They're all there to share in their love of all things nerd. And it's awesome. Then there's what we call the super fans. The people that come back year after year after year and just buy everything because they love what you do. Or just that you took the time to have a genuine conversation with them and built a relationship, a friendship. Then there's the ultimate fans. Not only do they love what you do, But they even cosplay as one of your characters. It's a surreal feeling seeing someone dressed up as a character that you dreamed up, that they were moved enough by your art that they would spend the time and the money and then go to the con as your character. It's just mind-blowing. But maybe the best moments are when two super fans come to the booth at the same time. There's an immediate connection, and it's the coolest thing ever to stand back and just watch them totally geek out over your creation. We've even had people start bringing us gifts like friendship bracelets and fan art, just to say thanks for doing what we do.
I like building something that I believe in. We put out a product. People like that product. We work with some awesome people. I believe in it. If I didn't, I'd be back. Trust me, it'd be much easier for me to be at a law firm.
It's wild to look back and think that all this started with one little comic book. Every day. 2025 will be the 10-year anniversary of the release of our first issue of our first comic, Grace. It both feels like yesterday and a lifetime ago. I'm a little older, a little grayer, and I'd like to think a little wiser. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's been hard. It's been countless hours spent writing, drawing, booking flights and hotel rooms, driving, flying, lugging boxes, and constantly getting rejected by people who just aren't interested in our books. At least not yet. We like to joke that comics is a get-rich-slow scheme. Financially, I'm still waiting for that to happen. But at the risk of sounding a little corny, I feel like this venture, this adventure, has brought me a wealth of new experiences, new friends, and new inspiration to keep on creating. It'd be nice to see our brand take off and become this huge financial success, but even if that doesn't happen, just having people connect with our little funny book has made the struggles worth it. Now go do the same.